For a lot of viewers on this channel, this broadcast has been a long time coming. It's not a brand new race, but it's a race we wanted to display for quite a while. This is the FORL Cup Series original championship shootout, and tonight we do have a full broadcast for you. Some of the footage is unfortunately not up to snuff, but we got a good majority of the race to show you here. The 90-lap original championship finale with its original champion and Kyle Freeman in the voice chat alongside Alexander Balderas. Two key pieces to one great story. LSR TV, thank you for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed this one. It's going to be a bit different than usual as we get this one going. It's going to be, of course, Freeman and Balderas to set the stage here. So how you guys feeling? Kyle, I'll give it to you first. And how about that? Well, that's exactly what we're doing. And Alexander Balderas, a big part of this one, the 95 machine on your screen right now. So how is it like reliving some history here in this league? Well, it was great to see you both on. As you could see, a bit of a kerfuffle. And the thing is, I was actually not doing this broadcast tonight and it looks like it gets a bit stuttery on your screen. The reason is, well, it just looked like we weren't able to stream it that night. Give us just a moment. We wanted to show you the original starting grid, and we just had about 10 people in it. So that just goes to show how much more we've grown. 8 people in the title finale. Just want to get that starting grid on your screen before we get this thing going. Now let's get the good remainder of the footage on your end. And it will be, from there on out, a great show to see. Brandon Redford, thank you for stopping by. Tell you what, you want to be part of the broadcast? Just hop into voice chat. We'd love to have you. As now, 27 laps in we go. The strategy in the race was already beginning to show up as a strategy all season long for the both of you. A great championship run. Kyle, how'd you get to this point in the first season of the FORL Cup Series?
How managed to get top 10s and top 5s just to get points. I pulled a Matt Crafton that year.
Seems like that you did, able to get yourself in the final 4 of major consistency. And Alexander Balderas, the 95, how did that rocket ship of a Ford Mustang make its way to the final 4 in Phoenix?
Well, having speed early on really helped us, but kind of Kyle got into the same situation. Just being really, really consistent was what helped me progress through the rounds, and the unfortunate nature of others to lead them out of the championship. But really, just being super consistent, getting a lot of top 6s, top 5s, getting in that ballpark was really what carried me to the final round.
And that, it appeared, it did. Now, this was, of course, the first season of this championship for the viewers tuning in. A bit of a different show that we're doing tonight just to present some history. Now, how was it compared to last season? We know, Balderas, for one, you broadcasted and raced last season. Kyle, you made a second charge at the title the time beforehand, of course, season number 1. So what's it been like seeing the changes? And Balderas, I'll hand it off to you first, since you've seen it firsthand as a broadcaster and a driver.
Well, seeing these changes, it's really good to see the league grow. Racing in the first season, the Gen 6 is a really, really fun car to drive, and just using it right now and looking back on it, it's as much as it is a heartbreaking race to me. It was a really fun one. So the league has grown a lot over the last few times going through history, and I think it's grown for the better.
And that is great to hear. Now, we're seeing the battle on screen right now, the 95 and the 29. This was for the championship lead at that point. So, Kyle, you've been here since day one, and as we've mentioned beforehand on streams, you are the Season 1 champ. We'll find out how you got it done tonight. But overall, what did it really get you to as you got here? First season, it was really a changing ground for a lot of guys, owners, admins, what have you. What really had you going all season long to eventually get here?
It just consistency again. Yeah. As you can see, I just saw a throttle pass me. But
yeah, we did see that.
hold on, I'm gonna point this out. Look how loose I was in the first couple laps.
Loose you were. How about that? I mean, we've seen that a lot of guys having really big trouble. Ethan Stanley going for a wild ride on your frame there. Now, we've got another guest coming in right now. One of the other drivers in that final 4. It's Brandon Redford. Great to have you here. How you feeling as we're going through some history? 33 laps in here from Phoenix. Brandon, you got a copy with us. Looks like he might just not. He's muted on our end right now, but Brandon Redford is going to be here.
Hey
Looks like now you're
guys.
unmuted.
Hello, how are you?
Well, great to have you here, Brandon. Now, we're going through all of this 33 laps into our championship shootout. Not all of the footage from this race was entirely recoverable, but we got a good majority here, and all season long, you were right up there with guys like Kyle and Alex. So what got you there at the tail end? Because you were here from day one as well, able to make a championship charge against the best in this league.
I think it was my first time running Phoenix. I think I bought the track right before the race, so didn't have much time to practice it, and I just had to learn from that race. So it was just the whole learning thing from there.
Learning from scratch, how about that? Now, one thing we've seen from all the drivers from season number one, picking up the pace big time. Right now on your screen, it's Braden Movick and Andrew Cootie fighting for the victory with Ethan Stanley in third. Now, these are guys who don't run full-time anymore, but whenever they come out to the track, they are bad, fast, and always have a chance for victory to be theirs. Now, how much has it really been a beneficial factor for the drivers who are full-time to learn from some of the best who sometimes show up part-time?
So you know how the in real life how the cup drivers go down the lower series and they race against them. I think it's a whole trying to seeing what they do, seeing what works and what doesn't work, and just learning from what they do, and then just pushing yourself a little more, seeing what works and what sticks, and if it doesn't, you got to figure out how to change that, and it's a learning thing, really.
That it appears to be, and Alexander Balderas 95 is right there with us too. You think you agree with that statement? Because it has been a learning process for a lot of drivers, including yourself.
I would agree too. I think it is akin to when bushwhacking was a major thing in the Cup Series, when Cup drivers would go down to the Bush Series, hence the name bushwhacking. I think it's more akin to that, like he was saying. And I think, honestly, it was good for the league to show what good, clean racing can be with the really fast drivers out front, but it also gives us a good battle to try and catch them.
And a great battle we're watching right now between Cootie and Movick within a few tenths of a second. Kyle, anything you'd like to add?
Well, they race an IDK player, they win a lot, and you just gotta learn from them, honestly. You gotta find out what it works. You gotta find out what works, what doesn't work. And yeah, you just gotta learn from them, honestly.
And learning big time. That was the goal. Now, 39 laps in at the moment now. The timing and scoring at this point was saying that the 95 machine was 3 laps down. So, Alex, was that the case? Because, quite frankly, I don't remember that coming up in the history books of this league. 3 laps down, halfway through. Was that really the case?
I had a feeling at the time I might have had an internet issue, but I really doubt that happened. I'm not sure. But if it was probably just an internet issue.
Well, it looks like nonetheless an internet issue and aren't you able to recover at the tail end, and 40 laps in as is, the top 2 guys have been running away. Phoenix with the Gen 6s now this season, and then a season after, it's going to be next gens that we are going to see in season number 3, and we did in season number 2. But the Gen 6 Camaros, Mustangs, and Camrys were used in this championship hunt. Kyle is a season 1 champion and a driver who made a run at the championship next season, of course, in season number 2. How big is the difference between the Gen 6s and the next gens?
The handling. In all honesty, the next gens, well, I've had more experience on the next gens, and Gen 6s are just hard. You cannot get grip in the rears. And in the next gens, they actually have more grip, somehow, with the smaller tires. And you can also Ross Chastain it.
Well, how about that? Now, Brandon, anything you'd like to add to that one? You were one of the guys in the Final Four, and certainly it seems like the next gens have played to your favor, but the Redford camp has, of course, some experience and some success with the Gen 6s. Brandon, you got a copy on us there. And that, it looks like he might not at the moment. Alexander, but there, let's go pass it back to you. Another driver who's seen the change. How's it been on your end?
Well, the Gen 6 is a ton of fun to drive, in my opinion. It has a really good plate package. The 550 package can be, dismayed, and it can be argued whether or not it was good. But honestly, I believe that the Gen 6 is a super good car to race. Besides the paper mache damage model, it was a really good car, really fun car to use in the first season, and I really hope it returns because the Gen 6 was a lot of fun to drive.
Well, this season, we know that the next gens are going to be in effect. Now, season 3, both of you guys have ran races in both seasons. So, with the next season on the way, do we expect to see you guys fighting for it once again?
I hope to make a return and hopefully be able to get to the playoffs, kind of like I did in season 1. With more speed, though, now, hopefully to make a stronger appearance rather than just kind of weasel my way in.
Well, Kyle, anything you'd like to add on your chances for a second title in league history?
I'm just gonna, with all the drivers, it's gonna be harder, but hopefully I can go back to the playoffs like I did last season, and not in advance from the first round. Maybe even get to the championship 4.
And looking to pick back up to where he was all this time ago, Brendan Redford, we got you back once again. What are your prospects going into season number 3 as the caution's out on the circuit? Here in Phoenix, 46 laps in, we'll get the full audio, the commentary from this race past lap 60. But a few more questions to ask to all our drivers. Brendan, got any thoughts about the next season coming up?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I see that there's a bunch of new guys joining and a bunch of the older guys coming back. I think it's going to be pretty competitive. Just the only thing I'm really worried about is having another Charlotte race for the rest of the season. So
there we have it, looking to avoid controversy and a few issues along the way. As 46 laps in, this was on strategy shifted all the way. Now, this pit stop might have just been it for you guys. So what was it that got you through this run, Kyle? It looks like drivers coming down pit road already. What was the game plan on pit strategy all night long in Phoenix?
I was really just listening to Ethan Sky because I really don't know. I can't remember. Pit strategy was just get new tires, get out there, get fuel, see if you can last till the end.
And conserving to the end seems to be the way to go. Brandon, for your camp there, it seems like at this moment you were fifth on the board. What did it take to try to catch up to a guy like Ethan Stanley who had the race in control for a good majority?
I think it was like saving your tires. I mean, to be fair, I don't really exactly remember as of what he said, but I think it was just trying to see how bad tire wear was and not to waste your tires too soon. So it was just be conservative with them and use them correctly.
And conservation was key for Balderas in the 95. He knows that as well. But he had to run through this caution, get a few laps back. He's 8th on the board as it stands, so he was off cycle. How much did that affect you? Because, of course, these tires get worn out, they get loose. What did you do to combat that effect as the round went on?
I think
To avoid getting loose, really, it's whether or not you wear the right front or the right rear enough. If you wear the right rear too much, you're going to get really, really loose. And if you wear the right front too much, you're going to get really, really tight. Now, I'd say I prefer a loose race car because I don't know what to do with a tight race car. So I would say it was decently loose. I'd say it was good. Continuing the run, I think it got tighter for me. So learning how to use and modulate that right rear would be really, really important. But overall, just making sure not to kill the right front was the most important part of the day.
And the most important part of the day, usually at Phoenix anyway, comes down to strategy, and tires were a big factor. Now, one driver we don't have with us tonight is Ethan Stanley. The 91 machine had the championship in the palm of his hands. 48 laps in, I have tires that never fade. LSR TV, how about that? Well, Stanley, a great driver, seemed to have his tires far from fading away. He had them real set up well. As 49 laps in, he was the race leader for you guys. How was it like to race Stanley? Always a great competitor in this league. And Balderas, I think you know him better than anyone else in this voice chat here. How was it like racing the Stan?
Well, I know Ethan Stanley like the back of my hand, and Stanley's a great competitor. He's a really, really fast guy at places you really don't expect him to be. And Stan has a lot more talent than I think a lot of people make him out to be. And Stan's a great competitor. I love racing him. And overall, he's just a great guy to be around. He'll teach you a few things, and he'll show you where you're going wrong. And it's never a bad thing to lose to Ethan Stanley.
And one of the great competitors in this league is Indy. Now, Redford, I know that when we came on at Talladega for the first FTN broadcast at FORL, Stanley was one of those guys who went on the tear from that point onward. How was he competing with him as he went lights out in the playoffs to get into the Final Four?
With how fast he was, it was kind of frustrating. But I mean, like, it was fun racing against him, and you can like definitely learn a thing or two from him. So like before you came here, it was like normal racing. It was somewhat competitive. Everyone was together. Then Stanley came around and blew everyone out, and like it was insane to see someone come from absolutely nowhere and just start to dominate. So it was definitely cool to see, and it was frustrating at times. I know personally for me, it was like, where did this guy come from? You know, but it was cool to see him. It's cool to learn from him, and it was fun to race against him.
And it's been great to see a driver like Stanley go at it. Now, Bristol, that's a bit of fortuitous mentioning. LSR TV will be partnering with FTN for the Road to Pro Tour tomorrow, and we are especially excited for yet another great broadcast courtesy of the production team and Charles, and of course, the broadcast crew of Terry Radford and Daniel Falkingham, and hopefully we'll see Jason Rockefeller there right with them. Always a great group. Now, Stanley was one of the guys who fought with another driver in James Thurston, and I believe Thurston got it done at Bristol this season in the FORL Cup Series. So when it comes down to it, James Thurston not in this race, but he was also one of those guys up there, and those two were the class of the field all throughout the playoffs. So was it a game of trying to be the second best for you guys, or was it something more about going for the victory? Kyle, I'll pass it back to you, as of course you got it done in the title overall, but those races, the playoff stretch was all the 96 and the 91.
Well, Ethan Stanley, he just had grip hacks, in all honesty. He could find a way to just somehow make it work at high speed. I don't know how. Kind of suspicious that he has grip hacks. But
well, how about that? I don't think we can mention grip hacks here, because certainly Stanley just finds a way. But James Thurston, another guy up there, and of course you saw him this season battling for the title. You think that experience carried over for him, because he started racing with you guys season 1, went on a tear, getting a few races in, but did not show up to the finale and let you guys battle it out. So what really made it a difference for a guy like him as well, racing a guy like you? And Kyle, if you got a copy with us, we'd love to hear.
I was confused on who we were talking to.
No, it's all good. We're still with you.
Thurston, he carried over because he races on our night once again. That dude's just freaking fast. Sometimes I can catch him, sometimes I can't. But his experience carried over because he's just fast.
And he always seems to be one of the faster drivers in these fields. 35 laps to go at this moment. The guys up front are the 91, the 42, and the 88 of Andrew Cootie. Now, Balderas, you've raced with all of them. We'll pass it back to you. A few more questions before we get the full uninterrupted broadcast audio. And for your sake, in that 95 machine, how was it like defending from some of these guys later on in the going, and even early on trying to get your laps back, knowing that these guys were going to pounce every run, and they would try to spread out from the field to avoid any yells that could have ruined your running of the championship?
Well, a lot of these guys like Cootie, Movick, and Stanley had, been on iRacing longer than I had, and had definitely more experience than Oval at the time than I had, and they were just absolutely able to run away from it. But I think if I knew that if I had a few laps pace, if it was decided in a green light checkered, I think I could eventually make my way back up there. But right now in the race, as we're watching with about 35 to go, 34 laps to go, I was more concerned about saving my right front.
And it looked like at this point, just trying to get there at the end was the key. Now, 33 laps to do it, as we mentioned, and crunch time was going to be in effect. How big was the pressure for you guys to get it done in this title battle? Kyle, of course, you had a lot of pressure on you from all the way through. I believe you're the youngest driver in the Final Four, and eventually the man to get it done. So how was it like with that weight on your shoulders, carrying it through Phoenix?
Oh my gosh. I probably almost threw up at the Bristol race because how close I was from getting out. And that weight, it was insane. I mean, yeah, I'm lost for words for how much pressure I had.
And it looks like it really got to you there throughout the playoffs, but it still got you here in the Final Four. Now, Brandon Redford, of course, you were one of the guys up in front all season long, the time before, of course, Season 1 and Season 2, so you seem to be accustomed to running well in this league. But Season 1, it was all an unknown, so how was it like for you to battle through?
I mean, we won the season opener at Daytona, so that's really what solidified us in the playoffs. And then going through the playoffs, you just had to be consistent, make sure you had a good finish every race, and just rack those points up, and just end up making it to the next round. So it was pretty easy from the get-go, and then just had to a little bit more pressure through the playoffs
And the
to stay
pressure.
in the run.
Indeed. While it was placed on all of you, the 95 machine, I know you had a lot of pressure placed on you from other forces besides the league in itself. A lot of drivers in their own right rooting for you to get it done for Team TCB and the like. Of course, Braden Movick part of that operation at this time. So we'll wrap it up with one more final response for the 95 machine before we go on with the remainder of the broadcast uninterrupted. Balderas, how's the championship race for you from a personal standpoint, not just as a driver?
Well, being one of the only broadcasters in the race, minus Ethan Stanley, who did a short-term cover-up back way in FTN's history in the OSRL Short Track Showdown, because I wasn't able to make it. I was the only broadcaster who was in there racing, so I was hoping to get it done in the end. Unfortunately, not ended up happening. I came up second after my own mistake near the end of this race, but one of the best moments I think has happened, and one of the best moments for the league was the essentially pass in the last lap for the championship. And going through this race, it kind of hurts knowing that I didn't win, but overall, this is a great race.
And a great race that we will get to watch from here on out. A great story to be told, and we've been waiting to tell it for quite some time. A lot of league members have been waiting for this broadcast to get pushed out, and it couldn't have been done without the help from, of course, everyone involved. From Andrew Schulte, who got the archive out to us, to the drivers who are here with us tonight in the voice chat. I want to thank personally Brandon Redford, Alexander Balears, and Kyle Freeman for coming with us tonight for our brief overview before we get to the remainder of this broadcast uninterrupted. Thank you all for stopping by, and I hope you do all enjoy the remainder of the race as we go from here with the original commentary presented by the great Mason Moriarty and Chase Schaefer. Thank you all. We hope to see you again next season as we will now go out for our miniature podcast and go to the remainder of the race. Thank you all once more. And as we tune out, let's get that all audio that we've been waiting for quite some time. 25 laps to go in a wreck on your screen, as it's going to be Mason Moriarty and Chase Schaefer who take you to the remainder of the chase for the championship.
9 coming out of the corner, just Necco just taps that there E3, and luckily all the drivers missed him. Oh my gosh.
Brandon Redford did a great job of missing him. He was
wonderful job.
Headed straight for the passenger door of Ethan Sky, and somehow was able to cut it down quick enough to avoid him.
Good showing. Throttles, Alexander Moldera is not going to pit, going to choose to get some more laps back as we come to 34 to go. I cannot talk.
Movick, Stanley, and Cootie on pit road. I believe all of them are going to take 4 tires. Cootie's probably going to spend some time on pit road and fix some damage. All of them get in their pit stall without any problems.
Yep, all of them
Movick, Stanley, Cootie all taking 4 tires. Movick's away. Stanley's away and Cootie's away, opting not to fix his damage.
Unless he took a pasty.
He did not, that I see.
That's fair for him.
So
he is going to go for some track position, hoping that that right side damage won't affect him too much.
Balderas gets another lap back, so he's going to be 5 laps down, I believe. Ethan Sky currently 1 lap down on pit road after that spin. He didn't hit anything, but he still has some right side damage from earlier accidents and hitting the wall.
Now, if we think about it, that run, we went green about lap probably 47, 48. Probably ran a 20-lap stint. We're nearing 20 to go, and we saw Stanley just a couple laps before that caution come out really have that fall off. So we could see Stanley take that lead and maybe another caution come out in this race go into his favor. If he's able to get past Braden Movick, who pretty even that whole entire run until Ethan Stanley burned up his tires. But we'll have to see what happens. So the lights are still on the pace car. Let's have an update on our Championship 4 under caution with 23 to go. Ethan Stanley, second place, talk of the night. Brandon Redford in 5th position behind Joaquin Stewart. Kyle Freeman sitting in 6th position, and Alexander Balder is still in 8th place, getting his lap back, getting a little loose coming out of 2. And that is your Championship 4 on lap 68. Alexander Balder is only 4 laps down. If we get another caution, depending on his 3 laps down now, depending on if he wants to pit or not, he could be on the lead lap by next caution.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 more yellows and Balderas could possibly be on the lead lap. I just don't think, unless something happens to Ethan Stanley, I just don't think any of these other Championship 4 contenders have anything for him. He's been well above their pace and up there with the pace of Cootie and Muvik on the shorter runs. But overall, I think it's going to come down to Cootie and Muvik on these long runs. They seem to be able to save their rear tires a bit better than Stanley.
Just watch how this restart comes into play. Coming to the green, Cootie's going to get some space. And we're green. Muvik gets the run clear of Stanley and Cootie. Cootie's going to get clear of Ethan Stanley. Coming across the line.
With a great jump. Just completely puts the other 2 in his rearview mirror. Shuffling for position farther back in the pack. Just Ethan Stanley loose. There's contact and there's a crash. Ethan Stanley upside down into the fence. Barrel rolling down this backstretch on top of Brandon Redford.
Championship implications just like that. Kyle Freeman is our championship leader.
And Ethan Stanley is stuck upside down right now. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to have someone to flip him back over.
Oh, he reset.
And Ethan Stanley reset. So he is going to be multiple laps down after this yellow, which has huge championship implications, as Kyle Freeman is now leading the championship standings.
What a change of events. Who saw it coming? Kyle Freeman sitting in that 4th position.
Looked like out of turn 2, Stanley got a little loose. Redford was shooting up the track. He was obviously tight and going up the track, and Stanley was loose coming down the track, and they just met in the middle. And then Redford spun up into Stanley, which Stanley catapulted off the wall and
right along with Kyle Freeman. Yeah, it just looked like Redford came up and Stanley wasn't ready for it. Didn't go up to the wall as much as Redford probably thought, and just caused that whole thing to happen. Stanley did get a little loose coming down. What a change of events.
Let's interview our new championship leader, Kyle Freeman. I can't drag him, Chase.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I just realized.
Kyle Freeman, you are the championship leader now after that incident with Stanley and Redford. How are you feeling about your chances?
I'm feeling really good. Hopefully I can pull this off. It's something I've been dreaming about. And I almost died of excitement, hoping for this race and hoping to win.
So I'm going to say died from the wreck. You're awfully close to getting collected by Freeman and Ethan Stanley getting together. What were your thoughts when you saw that happening right in front of you?
I was excited because Stanley was involved in that, and he's one of the fastest drivers out here.
Yeah, he was stuck upside down and had to reset. He's 2 laps down. As we're speaking about championship standings, Alexander Balderas just got back on the lead lap after lagging out around lap 40. So now all on the lead lap in the championship standings is Kyle Freeman, Brandon Redford, and Alexander Balderas, all within 4 spots. As we come to the 1 to green, good luck, Kyle Freeman.
As we drag him back into his voice chat, coming to green on lap 73 out of 90. Kyle Freeman is going to lead the championship with Braden Mulvick and Andrew Cootie filling up that first row. Let's see how this checkered flag, this restart comes out.
Stanley still on pit road, so he's gonna go 3 down by the end of this. It looks like.
And we're green. Mama gets to jump again. Cody's gonna be able to get clear of Joaquin Stewart. Let's see what Cody does if he can catch up to Mavic within the 15 laps he has.
Joaquin Stewart on the inside of Andrew Cootie. Here comes Redford. Brandon Redford up to the standings. Alexander Balderas loose back there, almost spins and saves it. So now it's Brandon Redford leading the championship behind Joaquin Stewart in the race.
Cody 4/10 back that time around. And Redford's going to take the lead away from Freeman.
Here comes Redford trying to get past Joaquin Stewart.
Redford off the gas early there. Freeman's not going to be able to do it. Redford's fast.
These two championship leaders are right behind each other. Kyle Freeman looking to the inside of Redford, not going to be able to get there.
Back to the battle for the lead. Cody 1/10 faster that lap, down to 2.28 tenths of a second. Just
Here
see
comes
him.
Ethan Sky on the inside of Kyle Freeman. Freeman's trying desperately to catch up to Brandon Redford, but just doesn't have the pace right now.
Cody's really trying to get it done, gaining more time.
Time running out. Balderas 4 seconds, 3.5, 4 seconds back on Kyle Freeman and Brandon Redford. And Ethan Stanley still 2 laps down. So unless there's a yellow, I think it's going to be between Redford and Freeman.
Cody losing a little bit of time that lap. Redford still in the lead in front of the 29 of Kyle Freeman by quite some bit. This race is definitely shaping out to be something that I don't think any of us would really expected those first couple of laps. Cody getting some time on Mavic that lap. Cody's loose. He's fighting that car.
Joaquin Stewart up the track back
Oh,
there.
loose
Cody, big time loose. That's going to burn that right rear up.
And that's probably going to give it to Mavic if we don't have a caution, unless he makes a mistake.
Malvic's been solid all night. Not seen him make too many mistakes other than when he slapped the wall on the backstretch. He's got a decent gap from him and Cody now. Joaquin Stewart, Brandon Redford, and Kyle Freeman all within a few tenths of each other. Freeman way up the track, almost under the wall. He's now almost a second back on Brandon Redford, who is currently the championship leader. Throttle way back, 7 seconds back on Ethan Sky, who is P6 in the last car in
Redford
this
currently
pack.
has that championship by 7/10, coming to 10, completing 10 to go, coming in at 9. It's looking really good for that number 9 car, Brandon Redford.
Something to notice when Alexander Balderas was getting his laps back, he did not take tires. I think that is why he is so off pace, because he is on much older tires, about 40 lap old tires maybe even 80 laps if he didn't take tires when he loaded back into the session, than Redford and Freeman and the rest of the field, really. So I think that's a major reason why he's so off pace. Freeman gets loose again off of turn 4.
Yeah. That gap to Alexander Balderas and Ethan Sky is not looking too pretty. 7 seconds, 8 seconds as it stands right now. Safe to say, I don't think Alexander Balderas or Ethan Stanley have anything to give. Brandon Redford currently having a whole second of a lead over Kyle Freeman. Coming to 6 to go.
Right now, all Brandon Redford is hoping for is,
And there's a yellow.
as I say it, hoping for no yellow.
Ethan
As the
Sky.
yellow comes up, Ethan Sky has spun at a turn 4. It looks like
This is going to be interesting to
spun and
see if
hit the
these
wall.
leaders are going to pit or not.
Now comes the strategy. If I'm Balderas, I'm pitting. I have old tires. I need to pit right now. Stanley, he is 2 laps down. I don't know if he's going to be able to fit a pit stop in there. Freeman and Redford, I think if I'm Kyle Freeman, I pit because I know Balderas and Sky are both going to pit behind you, so you really have no spots to lose. But Brandon Redford,
And
if
leaders
he pits, Redford might not, so I'm not sure. And
all the
Redford
championship,
stayed out.
all championship drivers are in,
Brandon Redford
Except for
stays out,
Redford.
though.
except for
So-
Redford.
Redford's going to take leadership of the race. Stanley is, I believe, going to be able to get his laps back.
Yep, Stanley's also out too.
Um,
Let's see who's going to be able to come out in front after these pit cycles. Lovikin with a good stop, so is Cootie. Let's see what
3 minute
they're
pit
gonna take
road.
right, or they're gonna do. They're both taking 4.
Looks like everyone on pit road is taking 4 tires. So now,
the battle on pit road.
Brandon Redford, being the leader, is going to have 2 cars in between, 2 of the fastest cars in the race, in between him and Freeman. Which I think is honestly a smart call on Brandon Redford's part. He gains track position. His tires weren't too shot. He was faster than Kyle Freeman at the moment of yellow. And he's got 2 of the fastest cars in the race in between them. Kyle Freeman's going to have to work if he wants to catch Brandon Redford. And Balderas has a car in between him and Freeman. Stanley stuck 1 lap down. So Stanley needs 1 more yellow. And he's going to be back on the lead lap. I think if Stanley can get back on the lead lap, I think he'll be able to pass them.
Get that lead, to get that 1 lap back under this league. Get all your laps back, except for 1. So he needs a caution to come out, get that lucky dog, get back on that lead lap, and then he'll have a chance. But right now, our competitors for this championship are Kyle Freeman, what am I doing? Kyle Freeman and Brandon Redford. I'm so sorry, guys.
Row 1, Brandon Redford, Braden Mulvick. Row 2, Andrew Cootie, Kyle Freeman. Row 3, Joaquin Stewart, Alexander Balderas. Row 4, Ethan Stanley, as Ethan Sky coming back from the pit lane. As we go into turn 3 to take the green flag to the final 3 laps of this season. Championship leaders 1st, 4th, and 6th on the lead lap. Brandon Redford gets a decent start. Mulvick hangs with him. Kyle Freeman does not get a good start. Brandon Redford, Mulvick's to his outside. What's Cootie gonna do here? Is Cootie gonna send it in 3? He's gonna send it in 3. Almost contact.
well,
Redford
contact.
up the track. As Cootie and Mulvick go past side by side, exiting turn 2. Cootie drops in line behind Mulvick.
Now those fresh tires, he's lethal right now.
All eyes on this championship battle as Freeman leads it, coming to 2.
Oh, Cootie spins!
Cootie spins! Is that going to be a yellow? I think it's going to be, as the yellow comes out. So we are going to have a green-white checker to decide this race and this championship.
Ethan Stanley's going to be back on the lead lap.
Ethan Stanley is going to get back on the lead lap. This has just gone completely haywire.
When Ethan Stanley gets on that last lap.
So now, Braden Mulvick leading the race. Brandon Redford leading the championship in 2nd position. Kyle Freeman behind him, who is in championship contention in P3. Joaquin Stewart, who is not in championship contention in P4. And then P5 is Alexander Balderas, who is also in championship. Who is also in the championship hunt.
Brandon Redford going to come in. No, he's not. He's going to fake it.
So Brandon Redford spins. under
Whoever
yellow.
got into Braden Movick coming out of pit road trying to fake.
Oh, wow.
That's gonna hurt him.
So, Brandon Redford's going to have some right front. Movick's going to have some left front.
I think that 42 machine will be fine.
Yeah. Movick is
Oh.
way faster than the rest of these guys behind him.
We have 3 championship drivers all lined up together on this restart.
In
We
this
have-
top 5, and Stanley's should be able to get his lap back. So we're gonna have, and there he goes. We're gonna have all 4 championship contenders in the lead on the lead lap for this green-white checkered. I'm not sure what's going on with Brandon Redford right now. He's slow. Brandon Redford given an EOL penalty for the contact with Braden Movick exiting pit road, or on the entry to pit road when Redford faked. So that is massive, massive championship implications. Now Kyle Freeman takes the championship lead over Alexander Balderas, who is now going to be right behind Kyle Freeman, who is the championship leader at this moment on this restart. Joaquin Stewart moving up into P3, and I believe that's going to give Stanley another position over Redford as well.
all our championship cars are gonna be on that inside lane.
So now they
Outside.
double. So, row 1, it's going to be Braden Movick and Kyle Freeman, your championship leader. Row 2, Joaquin Stewart and Alexander Balderas. Alexander Balderas in championship contention, currently P2, racing Kyle Freeman for the championship. Row 3, Andrew Cootie, no one on the outside due to penalties. Row 4, Brandon Redford, who is in championship contention. Brandon Redford's got some ground to make up, but most notably, Ethan Stanley, P6, P7, 8, P8, who just got back on the lead lap, and one of the fastest cars in this race. As we head into turn 3 for the green-white checkered to conclude the FORL graphics season. Movick gets the big jump. Balderas to the outside of Freeman. 3 wide, 4 wide for P2. Cootie on the inside.
Is that
Balderas
legal?
way up.
Balderas is gonna clear.
Balderas up into the championship lead. Balderas sends it and smacks the wall, and he wrecks himself.
No.
Kyle
That was
Freeman
terrible.
back in the championship lead behind Joaquin Stewart. Braden Movick leading the race. Andrew Cootie in second.
Redford's the only one who can contend now. Ethan Stanley
Ethan
giving
Sky
no
in between Brandon Redford and Kyle Freeman.
Oh, Alexander Balderas hard to the wall. Coming in turn 1. Joaquin Stewart set it on the inside of Cootie.
Contact Ethan Stanley up the track after he drove into Brandon Redford's quarter panel. And unless Kyle Freeman chokes this, I believe he's going to win the championship.
Coming across the line, it's going to be Braden Movick winning the championship finale. And we have our new champion, the number 29 of Kyle Freeman. Congratulations.
What a turn of events for that finale. Alexander Balderas getting the good start, and getting the championship lead, and then binning it in a turn 2 and smacking the wall. And practically handing Kyle Freeman the championship. I can't believe the way that race turned out. It was looking like a lockup for Stanley on lap 60, on lap 70, and then he had that incident with Redford. And just everything, the way everything went down is just crazy. Kyle Freeman burns it down. He is the FORL Graphics Season 1 champion.
What a crazy turn of events. It almost looked like Alexander Balderas was going to win it. He just got sent in a little bit too hard in turn 1 and 2. I'm sure he's not happy about that. Braden Movick winning our finale. What a race.
I honestly can't believe that. That was a crazy, crazy turn of events. So, let's interview all of our championship contenders, starting with obviously the winner, Kyle Freeman. Let's try to get him in here as he burns it down.
dragging in our new champion, Kyle Freeman. Kyle Freeman, what are your thoughts right now? You are our FORL champion. What's going through your head?
It's won the biggest race of the season. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
That was crazy. You see, Balderas put you 4 wide on the start before you even got to the green flag. What did you think going into turn 1 when you saw him ahead of you on the outside?
Like, oh no. No. Shout out to Fatheads, Jags, River Page for making this paint. And yeah.
Crazy turn of events. What was going through your mind when you saw the 95 of Alexander Balderas hit that wall coming into turn 1?
Just excitement. I was like, yes! And
Celebrating a little early before that start-finish line.
I know.
Well, congratulations, Kyle Freeman, a hard-earned championship for our number 29 car. Thank you, Kyle.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
As we drag him out, we
Looks like
interview.
Brandon Redford is no longer in a VC. So our only other championship contender in the VC is Ethan Stanley. So let's get him in here.
What's up?
Ethan Stanley, obviously a bit frustrated with how that race ended with the contact after the contact with
You
Redford.
don't say.
What exactly happened there in your eyes with the contact with Redford around lap 70?
He can't hold a line, so therefore he's fucking slid up into me and flipped me over.
Yeah, unfortunate how that played out for you. You almost had it back. You got back on the lead lap, just not enough time for you really to.
Well, I was on 25 lap old tires by that point.
Yeah, just not enough time for you to make up that time. We apologize for Ethan's language. Obviously frustrated, heat of the moment, losing a championship. You look like the favorite the first 70 laps of the championship. You were holding pace with Muvik and Cootie after that first caution pretty steadily. And then just that contact with Redford really screwed you over.
You don't say.
It's quite unfortunate for our second place champion, or runner-up to the champion, Ethan Stanley.
Actually, third place.
Or third place. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw Ethan Sky right there. Good race, Stanley. Definitely a favorite. Running up there that entire race. Sorry I had to end like that.
Yeah, I don't really care anyway.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us.
Yeah, no problem.
As we have no other drivers in the VC. Thank you all for watching this amazing race put out for the finale of the FORL series.
Oh, we're not doing top 3, right?
No one's in here to interview.
Yeah,
So
Muvik.
Okay, so it was Muvik Cootie, me.
Alexander Balderas. We saw the incident down in turn 2 with 2 laps to go. What are your thoughts right now? Obviously pretty frustrated with yourself.
Just ashamed. If I don't make such careless error, we make the big time. But just need to work out these kinks and work out these errors, and then maybe we can have a shot again next season. But this is pretty heartbreaking for a man who went 10 laps down and was able to get it back after an internet issue, and then come back to almost win. Had the start of the century and had the pace to win, but I walled myself and lost out on what could have been greatness.
Yeah, we saw you lag out around lap 40. You went, I believe, 8 laps down, and you made that up. And then after that last kind of long green flag run, you were on pretty old tires, weren't able to keep pace, but then those series of yellows gave you a shot back in it.
Yeah. I knew that in that last long green flag run-ish that if I saved my tires at least a little bit, I wouldn't be like super, super loose. It wouldn't, be going a lap down. I might be a bit slower, but I had the chance of not wrecking my car. And little did I know that I would save my car then, but wreck it later.
Yeah.
Crazy finish. Definitely very, very unfortunate to have to watch that. Could just tell the emotion that you were definitely feeling when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably, if not one of the dumbest things that I've ever done when having the chance of greatness, when it's right in front of me and I have the opportunity, and if I don't make the smallest mistake, I actually do good in something, but I go ahead and throw it away because I make the smallest misjudgment and just go right side into the wall.
Well, all these mistakes that you do, you'll only learn from them. You can only go up. So
Absolutely. I mean, soon enough, it's, not going to be like this, but I know it might be like this for a while. So just got to keep learning and keep trying to not make these mistakes. It was a pretty good season, honestly. I think I ran it, I think consistency was my strong suit. So I was really good all throughout the season. So even though I might not have done well now from only joining in halfway through the season and coming this far, I think I still got to be pretty proud of myself there for being in on points. I had chances to win early in the season and probably locked myself in, but I chose a safer route and, tried to make my way in on points, and I did, but, can't say that because of this one moment the season's awful. I think this season was great. Just need to work out those smaller errors and smaller mistakes, and then we can hopefully shoot for greatness next season.
Absolutely, a lot of positives to look up to from this season as we conclude on this first season of the FORL Graphics Racing League. Alexander Balderas, thank you for taking the time to talk with us, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We're gonna take this time to learn over the off season, and hopefully we can strike back again next season. And I appreciate you guys.
as we move him out, that is the conclusion of the FORL Championship. What a race! Very, very amazing ending to that race. We saw multiple championship leaders come into play and multiple championship leaders lose out on it. And we see Kyle Freeman taking it all.